The American Dream, the only show that combats negative media, not owned by a network, commercial-free, unscripted. We got a great show for you today coming from New York City, the media capital of the world. Let's get the American Dream started right now.
We do it in the spirit of going against the grain of the negative media, giving inspiring information, and having people walk away from our show with something of value.
You're seeing a disruption in both the real estate and the mortgage space.
A lot of people are just not willing to put in the work.
What video does is that it demands an emotional response.
You know what I love about this show? It's totally unscripted.
Here we are, Times Square, the city never sleeps.
Yeah.
So I actually started in New York City when I was 21 years old. I had an internship right down the street at MTV when I used to actually play music.
Yeah.
I got dropped here, a guy from the Midwest, knew nobody, but got to know the city, fell in love with this city, and 9/11 happened, ended up back in the Midwest, was finishing school. Well, ended up being a college dropout, tripped and stumbled into this real estate game.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I ended up in Southern California, so it's so funny to come full circle to launching the American Dream, a national TV show now in 23 cities in New York City, and how it's all come full circle.
I love it because not only do I get to know more stories, we get to amplify them over 23 cities. Now, of course, New York City.
Well, it's the family,
Yep.
it's the home, and then it's the location and the lifestyle. Like
Yeah.
it all kind of comes together. And one of the things we're trying to do with this show is highlight these different communities all across the country. You recently brought us Ben Bacal.
Yeah.
And when we talk about things like the American Dream, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big.
Yes.
A $250 million listing.
The biggest.
Yeah.
The biggest.
So here's what we did. Took a helicopter ride,
Yep.
$250 million listing on the West Coast. Let's go check it out. Dream and I have been invited by San Diego's premier luxury realtor, a friend of our show, the Seth. And we're giving LA's leader in luxury real estate, Ben Bacal, a helicopter tour of what San Diego has to offer in the luxury real estate market from the sky. Buckle up.
I've been traveling the entire country, launching the American Dream all across the United States, and in each market we isolate the elite realtors in every market. Today we did something fun. We brought Ben Bacal, who is the #1 agent for luxury up in LA.
So glad to be here.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. It has a $250 million listing right now, amongst many other. A great portfolio. And we got Seth, who you see on the show all the time, who is our expert out of San Diego. Of course, on his phone, but we're just touring America's finest city, maybe having a little in-air debate about LA and San Diego from two of the best nationwide. When you approach a luxury home and you're taking it to market, what are some of the strategies that help move that house?
I spend anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a month on those luxury listings because everyone's on their phone.
Yep.
I want those listings, viral on your phone. So that's what I implement. And of course, for the super high-end properties, we'll have a PR company come in and strategize and build stories around the property and try to get free editorials as much as we can.
Is there, obviously there's a lot of thought that goes into it, but it's not for sure what that property is going to sell for when you list it for 20, 30, 40 million, right? I mean, there's some guesswork there.
No, when you're in that 20 to 30 million dollar mark, you know that they're going to sell for pretty close to that. It's when you're pushing in that 40 to 250 stratosphere.
Yeah.
Then it's a bit different game, but. The price per square foot has been, we're really price per square foot driven in Los Angeles. We're lucky because we have the comps to back it up. So you can say like a house down the street sold for $3,000 a foot or $2,500 a foot. Museum quality stuff is selling for about $2,500 a foot.
Share with me a story, an example of something you've moved recently.
Recently we did a house for $48 million, and it's a New York buyer that came out and bought it. And then we have a lot of buyers from the UK that are venture capital, private equity. A lot of Chinese are buying, and then mostly it's domestic because the United Emirates dollar is pegged to the US dollar, and this the British thing. Everything's in flux. So right now it's really domestic, but I do advertise in like Camju and luxuryrealestate.com and Prestige MLS, and I put it in Mandarin. The listings I'll translate them, and also on YouTube I'll translate them. But essentially they're coming out here and they're hiring me, looking for their home of their dreams, and like the big listings spending like $10,000 a month, pushing them so they're where their screens your house is going to be, right?
Yeah, so really, even though in some ways, obviously, luxury real estate has been known for being cutthroat, kind of to the opposite, you have to be collaborative with the other partners out there, right?
Yeah, you really have to, exactly. You got to be collaborative with your fellow associates, and you got to maintain that relationship. Getting exclusive listings, they're great, but often they trade hands really quickly. You get a 6-month listing, and it doesn't trade, and then you pass it off to the next guy, and then boom, it could sell, which is okay. It's just the name of the game, right?
Ben, you got any final remarks about San Diego?
Well, from the air, I really got a really terrific perspective. Thank you, Seth, for showing me all the different areas. They're beautiful. Those hillside, those cliffside properties were extraordinary. I couldn't believe what I saw. And the value that you get for beachfront property is exceptional. I'm looking to maybe buy something one day. That'd be cool.
Hope you enjoyed, and cheers to your American dream.
People come here to succeed, and if you don't succeed here, you don't stay. So owning a media company in Southern California to spread across the country, doing it city by city, and then New York City becoming our 23rd, it's the place where you're bringing the best of the best. In the media capital of the world, owning a media company, this is where you want to get to. Look at me now. I mean, it's just one of those things now where we have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
We've pulled major partners, sponsors, and got this momentum where we're here to launch.
Welcome back to The American Dream. My next guests are Ben Perrotta and Kate Richard. They are team leaders and co-owners of Ben & Kate Real Estate with Keller Williams. Thank you both so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So, Kate, I want to begin by talking with you. What are some of the biggest mistakes that buyers are making when they're out looking for a home?
One of the biggest mistakes that we see buyers making in today's market is that they're not taking the time to develop a relationship with a qualified and experienced real estate agent. And so what they're doing is looking for properties on the internet and requesting showings and meeting an agent at a house and sometimes making offers right then and there. Our team offers consultations, and these consultations are really valuable to understand the entire process.
Sure. So take a little bit of extra time. Don't think that you can do this yourself, and really entrust a valuable resource such as yourself, a qualified real estate agent.
Yeah, people that come into our office to meet with us for a consultation, they're a lot more prepared for the market, and when they're ready to make an offer, they've seen the document beforehand, which is really helpful. And we offer this consultation for first-time home buyers, investors, people buying a secondary property. So anyone that's really looking to purchase in this market, we're happy to sit down with them and discuss the process.
Sure, and I might add, this is about protecting yourself. This isn't about the seller or anyone else. This is about protecting yourself. Ben, what else is there to know about the process?
Well, a little more from what Kate said. Years ago, you would never dream of just jumping out in a car with a buyer and going meeting a buyer at an open house. At a house rather. But the reality of the situation is, in today's market, with all the tools of the trade, buyers can find these properties, so they are often calling us. But what gets lost in that is that the process itself. Buyers should really understand what it means to sign an offer. In our state of Massachusetts, an offer form is a legally binding document. You need to know what you're signing. You need to know how much money you're putting down. You need to know the process of the home inspection. And another thing that's unique to Massachusetts is that we're an attorney state. We're not an escrow state, so a lot of times attorneys should be involved in negotiating the next document, which is a purchase and sales agreement. And knowing everything soup to nuts from the beginning to the end is huge. We find all the time that buyers are making big mistakes with this process, and it could be easily avoided by just coming in, sitting down with us or one of our team members for a half hour and just hearing what the process is and how to go, the best way to go about it.
Sure. Kate, what are some of the biggest surprises that buyers are discovering along the way?
So one of the biggest surprises, if they haven't come in and gone over the process with us, is probably the home inspection. A lot of times people don't understand how much time they have to get this home inspection done, or really what the point of a home inspection is. So they go in and they hear all these things about the house and they get really worried, and they're not really sure how to negotiate that part and what it means for the process overall. So that is one of the key things that we discuss in these buyer consultations, and we can help really ease some of the worry about the home inspection process for them.
Sure. Well, great advice today, as always. I do want to give you both an opportunity, though, to talk about a listing that you have. This is a beautiful 3-bedroom. Tell me a little bit about this home.
Yep, we have a new one coming, actually came on yesterday, 131 Cross Street in Hanover. An excellent, charming antique cape. That's Hanover is a town that's right between, Boston and Cape Cod. It's a very, very popular town on the South Shore of Massachusetts right now, and it's a tremendous home.
Yeah, it's listed for $379,900, and it is a unique feature of this house is that it has a first floor bedroom, master bedroom. And it also, the backyard abuts the Hanover Nature Trails, which is a very cool trail system within the town of Hanover.
Well, it sounds like a beautiful property, as you said, incredibly charming, and it is in such a coveted area right now, Hanover. Thank you both so much for being on The American Dream again. Great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks again for having us.
And we'll be right back with more of the show.
This show is called The American Dream, right? There's only one city in the country that has an Ellis Island. This is a place where people have come for hundreds and hundreds of years to stake out their claim in what is the American Dream. And so having a show called The American Dream, launching in a place known to found the American Dream, is a huge deal.
What I love most about San Diego is the pace. People move here because they know that life is short. You gotta live it in a place that recognizes that. I would always joke I can go from business suit to wetsuit in 15 minutes on a Friday afternoon. I think I've got it beat. I've got it down to about 12 minutes now. That's what living in San Diego is about. Today I'm going to take you guys to a property that we just put on the market in Sapphire Tower. This condo is probably one of the best properties, one of the best views in all of San Diego. On the way, we're going to pick something up special for the sellers. We're going to go to Donut Bar. Actually, it's here right now. Let's get some donuts. Could I get some creme brulee and then a Boston cream and a chocolate euphoria? I was going to have a beer, but I think it's too early.
It's not too early, sir. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Thanks. When you're in downtown San Diego, you might walk right by it and think it's nothing, but the Donut Bar has been on USA Today, it's been on the Thrillist, it's been on TripAdvisor. This is probably one of the hottest donut bars in America, and we got it in our backyard. This penthouse listing is actually really personal to me because not only do we have a listing on one of the most expensive penthouses downtown San Diego, I was working on this project when I was 19 years old as an intern for the builder. So to come around 16 years later and have a listing of this caliber is something that really means a lot to us. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3,000 square feet, but you're not just buying it because of the stats, you're buying it because of the materials, you're buying it because of the Sub-Zero commercial wine fridge, the Miele, the Wolf. All these materials are absolute top of the line, and for an affluent penthouse buyer, they're the units, materials that you would really want. The reason I would buy this property is this room right here. One of my favorite rooms in the penthouse is the master bedroom. It's got floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall windows. It overlooks over $2 trillion in downtown penthouse living. You can see out of this window to Mexico. You can see Coronado Islands in the San Diego Bay. I like to joke that this is a 50 Shades of Grey style penthouse. And I like to think that Christian Grey himself would love this one feature that he has right here. And this is a hidden staircase, in case you have guests that need to leave in a hurry. You know, the reality is for $3 million you could buy a lot of house, right? But you can't replicate this view. You know, that beach across the street, that's a white sand beach I surfed out this morning. For a local San Diegan, you know you're looking at basically the best of our city all in one shot. So as great as the inside of this property is, you realize that it takes all of it to make it one of the best properties in San Diego.
All right, and cut. Good job, guys.
We're done?
We're done.
You want a donut?
Yes.
Everybody has decided, they've made that conscious decision that they choose positivity, that they still believe America is a staircase, and that there's a possibility for everybody to go up. People rejecting negativity and choosing positivity. People deciding that they want to do more with their businesses, more with their time, more with their families, and take part in this incredible economic opportunity we have to be in this country. And so what's so cool is everyone's story is completely different, and this company is thriving as a business, at the same time creating a tremendous amount of social good.
I want to welcome back onto the American Dream Gene Bernshtein. He is the owner and principal broker of Rise Realty, and Ilya Zvenigorodskiy. He is a managing partner of Rise Realty. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show.
Awesome. We're happy to be back. Thank you.
Absolutely. Ilya, I want to start with you. How do you find the right flip project? This is something that you two do quite a lot of.
Yes, and it really comes down about knowing the market. And for us, we're continuing to focus on the greater Boston area because there is a lot of opportunity that the changing demographic of those towns surrounding Boston, and it makes a really great opportunity for a flip. We look usually for two main criteria when we evaluate a good flip project. We look, first of all, at the price per square foot for the purchase price, and then compare it to what it can be sold for once we finish the work. So it really informs of the margin and how much we can budget for the renovation and still create value. The second thing that we usually look at is time on the market for the new properties. That informs us of the demand in the marketplace and if there's oversupply of inventory or undersupply. That really helps us identify the strategy, the timing of when to put the property for sale. And when we meet new investors or new people who want to get into it, we always recommend to build in really 25% extra, both of time as well as budget, so that they really plan ahead, and if in case things don't go smooth as they plan, they have a chance to still have a very successful flip. And lastly, it's very important to look beyond off-market properties, and even on the market, at the market rates, you can find really good properties where you can add additional equity and value by not just simply converting old to new, but also add additional components to the property that can make a flip really successful.
Gene, how do you maximize the return on an investment?
The easiest way is obviously finding something that's been outdated, whether it's kitchens, bathrooms, and doing those renovations, and then that's pretty much your basic flip, and then selling it for a little bit of a higher price point because you've done the work yourself. That's building equity. We really, obviously any of those kind of projects that pop up on the market, there's going to be a lot of demand for them because there's a lot of developers that do the same thing that we do in our marketplace. We really take it a step further because of our experience in being a real estate brokerage and having the leverage of our real estate agents to really understand what the end buyer is looking for whatever particular project that we're trying to invest in. That really sets us a little bit apart from the regular developers that really just either rely on agents or other market knowledge. The other alternative ways, obviously looking at things outside of the normal. whether it's converting an attic to a master suite, or adding additional space, or doing an addition to a home. These things do require sometimes knowing, what the zoning laws are. Every town is a little bit different, so it's really having and knowing your market and knowing where you're doing it to see if you can create some extra equity, either going through the zoning process or sometimes just having the right contractor in place to advise you on what things you can and can't do in a property. Again, a lot of it is experience, but just looking outside of just a regular remodel by creating, additions, and whether it's bathrooms, like I said before, or doing extra livable space, that's another way that you can have a successful flip.
Well, talking about a successful flip, there's actually a property that you two were here today that you wanted to highlight. This is a gorgeous remodeled 3-bedroom home. Tell me a little bit about this listing.
Yeah, so we started this project a little bit in the beginning of the year. It was a complete gut renovation, so we pretty much stripped the whole building to bones. We completely relaid it because back in the day when the home was built, it was used completely differently than what a regular buyer now is looking for. So we made a really open concept. The house in general is, by square footage, is someone could consider on a small side because it's a little bit over 1,300 square feet. So what we did is we really took off a lot of dead space, which a lot of times is either big lengthy hallways that you really don't use. So we added more square footage to the actual living space that people really look for, which is your living room, your bedrooms, your closet space, and your bathrooms. So the home is completely, feels a lot bigger than 1,300 square feet, and I think it has a tremendous amount of value to a family that might want to live near the city, because it's only a 10 to 15-minute ride from 17 Constant to the city, to downtown.
Wow, you and certainly maximize the value of that property. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back with more of The American Dream. Welcome back to The American Dream as we now focus in on your local Boston market. My next guests are Ryan Wilson, owner and CEO of the Wilson Group, the #1 team with Keller Williams in Chestnut Hill, and his guest today, Patrick Hopkins, realtor and buyer specialist with the Wilson Group as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on The American Dream today.
Thanks for having us.
So Ryan, I want to begin by speaking with you. I know that we have felt that buyers' sentiment in the past is that they really need to exceed the asking price for a home, that they need to go above and beyond. But I feel like some buyers now are a little bit afraid that those prices are not sustainable. Is there any indication that you're seeing that home prices will drop?
Good question. So it is a little bit one of those crystal ball questions. So the tough thing about that is we're really not going to know where the top is until we're on the way down. So when we're looking in the rearview mirror, then we'll look back and say, okay, that was the top. So it's tough to look at that from that perspective and really try to predict the future. But we will try to analyze all the data to decide kind of when it is a good time to buy and or sell. What we encourage our buyers to do, in regards to going way over asking price, is instead of looking at, the list price, which we say that's just a marketing price. So we try to encourage our buyers to look at it from the seller's perspective as well and say that, okay, there's a marketing price and then there's a sale price. And they're very different. What you do from a marketing perspective is set that marketing price, which could be very different from the sale price. In a perfect world, the way we market is to go slightly on the lower side, get a ton of buyers through the property, create a competitive situation. Competition will always increase the price, and then you'll get your sale price, which oftentimes and many times could be more than the marketing price, which is the list price.
So Patrick, with the market being what it is, we know that bidding wars are a common occurrence. What do you do to help your buyers if they do find themselves in that situation?
Sure. So what we're really going to be looking at is how, instead of avoiding it, how do we win it? It's a competitive market. So we just want to look at strategies on how to place our clients in the best position. And we always ask, the simple question, do you have a good reason to buy a home? That good reason could be, closer to family. That could be closer to the train for a commute to work. That could be quality of life, closer to restaurants, et cetera. So just as long as they have a good reason, then yes, it's absolutely a good time to buy a home. And what we always tell our buyers is, you're always paying a mortgage, okay? It's just a matter of whose mortgage are you paying? Are you paying yours or are you paying your landlord's?
Right.
So.
Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on The American Dream.
We appreciate it. Thanks.
And we'll be right back with more of the show.
Hi, this is Arielle Cecala, an attorney with Crowley & Cummings and a proud contributor of The American Dream Boston. Just want to talk to you a little bit today about your deposit. So if you're a buyer in a real estate transaction, you are going to put down a deposit typically in 2 times. Once with your offer to purchase, which is usually $500 or most commonly $1,000. And the balance of your deposit will go down at the time you sign the purchase and sale agreement. And typically that's 5%. If you've already put down $1,000, it'll be 5% less the $1,000 you've already put down. Sometimes if you're trying to leverage your offer to make it more attractive, you'll put down a higher percentage. So what does your deposit mean, and how does that get applied towards closing? One concern as your attorney who's involved in helping to protect your deposit is to make sure that you show up on the closing day and buy the house. If you default for some reason, if you decide after you sign the purchase and sale agreement, after you put your deposit down, that you don't want to continue with the transaction for whatever reason, in the real estate transaction, the seller is entitled to keep your deposit. So you want to make sure when you sign the purchase and sale agreement that you're very sure on the contingencies that are in the purchase and sale agreement, the ways that you might be able to back out of the deal with your deposit, and otherwise be ready to move forward on the day of closing so that your deposit isn't at risk. The best way to make sure to understand all of this is to contact your attorney at the beginning of the process and go over any questions that you have. You're always welcome to reach out. Again, my name is Arielle Cecala with Crowley & Cummings, and I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. The American Dream now spans coast to coast, all across the country and everywhere in between. The whole idea, to empower the mindset of the American Dream. Did it from New York City today. This is actually the place I started in media. Working for MTV, living in Chinatown. I'll never forget my first day in Union Square, which is where this $18 million pad is. Met my roommate, and he said, hey man, let me show you around New York City. Show you what this town has to offer. So we walked up here to Union Square, and I'll never forget, he sat down and he said, Sewing, grab yourself a piece of real estate. This is a great place to take a nap. Put his arms behind his head, laid back down. So my first day, almost 20 years ago in New York City, I took a nap in the street. So to be back here, launching the show, spreading positive information, and empowering the mindset of the American Dream, quite the honor. Thanks so much for watching the show. Hope you enjoyed it from New York City and all the areas we covered. That's all for today. Hope you can follow us on social media. I'm gonna go take a nap.